Probably understand that we level up through earning experience points. And how do we earn experience points? We ride. We ride lots. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Sarah and I make videos about health and fitness and all of the things endurance sports. So if that's something that you're into, if you wouldn't mind going down there and finding that little red rectangle that says subscribe, you can just lightly press that button, that would be fantastic. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming. You're the best. You really don't have to press the button. I'm not your mom, but I appreciate it. I appreciate you. But today we are starting a mini series on the fastest way to level up in ZWIFT. Now, if you've been on ZWIFT for any period of time, you probably understand that we level up through earning experience points. And how do we earn experience points? We ride. We ride lots. We get 20 points for every kilometer, 30 points for every mile, and if you do the math, it's going to take you quite a long time and quite a lot of riding to earn your way up through the upper levels of the game. But it's worthwhile to get the extra unlocks and the esteem of being a higher level rider. But what you may not be aware of is that there's some built-in kind of extra points that you can grab, and if you're already going to be riding, they're pretty easy to get your hands on some of these points, and that's by unlocking route achievements or route badges. Almost every single course in ZWIFT is attached to a route badge, and the first time that you complete those badges, you get a nice swath of experience points. Depending on how long the course is, you can get upwards of 2,000 points for a single course being completed. But ZWIFT, being what it is, and if I haven't mentioned this before, is not very good at explaining to their users that these types of features are available to them, and people have to self-source this information on websites or videos like this one. So the purpose of this series is to go through and explain to you some of the nuances and what you can expect by unlocking badges for different courses, because it's not quite as straightforward as you would believe just by looking at, oh, I'm just going to finish this course and I'm going to get points. But how many points? So I'm going to go through each world and I'm going to explain a little bit about each course and then how many points you can expect to unlock and any of the kind of extra nuances that you need to be aware of. And because there are so many different courses in the world, I'm going to break this down into more manageable chunks. So I'm going to do Watopia in this video and then I will do the other worlds in subsequent videos. Now, to preface this series, there are a few elements of route badges that you should be aware of that applies to all of the courses. The first thing is that you'll notice a trend when I go through these videos is that the experience points are weighted more heavily for distance than they are for effort. So don't assume by looking at something that has a lot of vertical gain that you're automatically going to earn more points. The weighting is going to the actual distance. So the longer the course, the more points you are going to earn, irrespective of how much climbing there is. So just bear that in mind. The second thing that you should be aware of is that a lot of these courses have lead-ins. So a lead-in is the number of miles that you will have to ride before you even get to the beginning of the course. Some of them are maybe a half of a kilometer or 3/10 of a mile, and some of them are several miles long. So you need to be able to budget for that in terms of your time and your effort. It would be really unfortunate if you've only budgeted yourself an hour to ride and you know that the course or the distance prescribed by the course is going to take you about an hour, but you didn't realize that there was a 6-mile lead-in that you didn't have time to complete. So the details in this video will help you to plan more accordingly and make sure that you have time to complete those badges. The next thing that you need to know is that you can't just mindlessly move around the map and complete these badges all in one shot. You have to have the course selected in the menu. So that is to say, if you wanted to complete the figure 8 course, you have to have the figure 8 course selected in the menu in some regard or another. You can't just navigate through Watopia and ride your way through the hilly course and the flat course and complete the figure 8. Right now, it's just a limitation of the software. It does not auto-detect where you are in the map, and it will not give you credit for those courses. So be aware of that. Now, there is a workaround where if you set up meetups, you can actually move to different courses while you're in the game without actually restarting the app. It also will get rid of the lead-in for you. If you're not aware of how to do that and you're interested in me making a video on how to set up the meetups so that you can kind of move from course to course or badge to badge throughout the game, let me know in the comments below. If I have enough people who want me to make that type of video, I will certainly set that one up. And the last thing is, if you're trying to be strategic about earning those points more quickly, definitely keep your eye out for the group rides, the meetups, the Fondo events, all of those things. You will absolutely earn those route badges by doing them within an event. And sometimes for some of the longer courses, you'll see it's going to be a lot easier to do that in a group because you're going to be able to move faster and you're just going to have more motivation, especially when those miles start to really tick up for you. you guys. So I'm going to start with Watopia, and then I'll make subsequent videos covering the rest of the worlds, and hopefully this information will be helpful for you guys. So starting with the mythical and mysterious world of Watopia, where all the magic began here on ZWIFT. This is the largest world in the game, and it will provide the greatest opportunity for you to earn those precious experience points. So the first course on the list is the Beach Island Loop. This is a brand new course to the game that was introduced in the last week or so. It's a short jaunt around the perimeter of Beach Island and around the perimeter of the volcano, mostly along the waterways, so very scenic. A very achievable loop at 12.8 kilometers or 7.9 miles, 44 meters of elevation or 144 feet, and you have no lead in here, so it's going to spawn you right at the arch, which makes it very efficient, and you are going to earn 255 experience points. The next course here is the Big Foothill. So this is going to give you a little bit of a climbing challenge without necessarily ripping your legs off if you're looking for a longer ride with some elevation gain. It's going to be 67.5 kilometers or 41.9 miles, 707 meters of elevation gain or 2,320 feet. Your lead-in is 2.4 kilometers or 1.5 miles, so very modest there, and that will earn you a whopping 1,340 experience points. The next course on the list is the aptly named Big Loop, and that's going to take you through some of the iconic areas of Watopia, up over the epic KOM, through the jungle, and through the volcano area at 42.4 kilometers or 26.3 miles, 651 meters of elevation or 2,136 feet. Your lead-in is a half of a kilometer or 3/10 of a mile, and that will earn you 840 experience points. The next iteration of the fantastic naming conventions used here in the game is Bigger Loop. So it's the same as Big Loop, but it's going to take you around the perimeter of the desert as well. So that's going to be a little extra mileage at 53.8 kilometers or 33 miles, 678 meters of elevation or 2,224 feet. Your lead-in is again a 5/10 of a kilometer or 3/10 of a mile, and that will be 1,060 experience points. The next course is a rolling course, and it's Dust in the Wind. Gives you some scenic variation from the desert all the way over to the jungle, so no shortage in scenery here. 54.6 kilometers, 33.9 miles, 529 meters of elevation or 1,736 feet. Your lead-in is 3/10 of a kilometer or 2/10 of a mile, and that one will also earn you 1,080 experience points. The next course is one of the oldest in the game, and this is Figure 8. It takes you around hilly loop as well as flat loop. It gives you a little bit of everything in terms of the original world in ZWIFT. 29.8 kilometers or 18.5 miles, 234 meters of elevation or 768 feet. Lead-in is 2/10 of a kilometer or 1/10 of a mile, and this one will earn you 580 experience points. Next up is Figure 8 Reverse, which is just the same as Figure 8, but in the counterclockwise direction. Now, what you might notice is some of these forward and reverse loops have some slight differentials in terms of their mileage and climbing. That's just the way that your rider spawns and the way that it logs the start and stop, but they're going to be very negligible. But it's not a typo, that's just the way that it logs in the game. So it's 29.7 kilometers or 18.5 miles, 254 meters of elevation or 833 feet, and your lead-in is 3/10 of a kilometer or 2/10 of a mile, and again, 580 experience points. Next up, another oldie but a goodie is Flat Route. This used to be the flattest route in the game before the inception of Tempest Fugit, and this is 10.3 kilometers or 6.4 miles, 54 meters of elevation or 177 feet, and your lead-in is a half of a kilometer or 3/10 of a mile, and this one will earn you 200 experience points. The next one is a solid climber's course. If you're looking for a long and challenging ride, but maybe not something that's going to take you all day, you might want to pick up the Four Horsemen. It takes on all the epic climbs of Watopia, including Volcano Climb, Epic KOM, and Alpe de ZWIFT. 89.3 kilometers or 55.5 miles, 2,112 meters of elevation or 6,929 feet. Your lead-in is 6/10 of a kilometer or 4/10 of a mile, and this one will earn you a whopping 1,780 experience points. Another oldie on the list here is the Hilly Route. Cute little climb, used to be the climbing course in the game, 9.1 kilometers or 5.7 miles, 100 meters of elevation or 328 feet. Your lead-in is a half of a kilometer or 3/10 of a mile, and this one will get you a little bump at 180 experience points. Next up is Jungle Circuit. Make sure that you've equipped yourself with a nice mountain bike or gravel bike for this one, because the rolling resistance provided by the dirt is certainly going to slow you down on a road bike, so be prepared for that. 7.9 kilometers or 4.9 miles, 79 meters of elevation or 259 feet. Your lead-in is pretty long on this one, 5.7 kilometers or 3.5 miles, so make sure that you budget for that and don't be caught off guard when you have not completed the circuit when you've reached that 7.9 kilometers or 4.9 mile marker. And that one's going to earn you 260 experience points. The next course up is Mountain 8, a solid climbing course. This is going to take you into a bit of a figure 8 over Watopia, up over the epic KOM and radio tower climbs, 32 kilometers or 19.9 miles, 677 meters of elevation or 2,221 feet. Your lead-in is a half of a kilometer or 3/10 of a mile, and this one will earn you 640 experience points. The next course up is Mountain Route. It's very similar to the Mountain 8 route, but the biggest difference is that you are going up the backside and the less steep side of Epic KOM. Still a solid climb, but it's not quite as steep, and it's a lot longer on the backside of the climb. So it's 29.5 kilometers or 18.3 miles, 682 meters of elevation or 2,238 feet, and your lead-in is a half of a kilometer, 3/10 of a mile, and this one will also earn you 580 experience points. Next up is Muir in the Mountain, a little bit of a variation on the theme of the Mountain Route. Again, it's going to take you up that backside of Epic KOM and up over the radio tower climb, but your lead-in is a little bit different with a little lumpier profile, 33.9 kilometers or 21.1 miles, 767 meters of elevation or 2,516 feet. Your lead-in is 5.2 kilometers or 3.2 miles, so be prepared for that, and you're going to be rewarded with your extra distance at 680 experience points. Next up is another new course this week, Ocean Lava Cliffside Loop, again around the perimeter of Beach Island, but it's going to also take you along the cliffsides and the waterways, so a little bit longer of a loop here, 19 kilometers or 11.8 miles, 146 meters of elevation or 479 feet, and your lead-in is non-existent, which is great, very efficient. 380 experience points is on the line for Ocean Lava Cliffside Loop. Next up is Out and Back again. So this is going to take you through a nice scenic ride around Watopia. You get a little taste of everything without having to go up and over the climbs. 39.8 kilometers, 24.7 miles, 303 meters of elevation or 994 feet. Your lead-in is 2.4 kilometers or 1.5 miles, and that will earn you 840 experience points. The next course on the list is no joke. This is Quach Quest. This is definitely a climber's paradise here, and despite the shorter distance, all things being considered, this is not a course built for speed, so make sure you give yourself plenty of time to finish this course. It's going to take you through Watopia, up over Epic KOM. You do not have to do the radio tower climb, but it ends you at the very top of Alpe du Zwift. So even some of the faster times on Alpe du Zwift, talking about 40 minutes, maybe less if you're an elite level climber, but most people are 40 minutes to up over an hour. So if you figure in the rest of Watopia, give yourself at least 2 hours to finish this course. I would be safe in budget at least 2.5 to 3 hours depending on your climbing skill. This is 45.9 kilometers or 28.5 miles, 1,683 meters or 5,522 feet. Your lead-in is a very minor 3/10 of a kilometer or 2/10 of a mile, and you're only going to earn 920 experience points. Considering the effort you're putting in, if you're doing this purely for the points, it's probably not really worthwhile, but if you're doing it because you want to complete all the badges or you want the climbing challenge, then it's worth it. The next course up is Road to Ruins. This is a nice scenic little course. Takes you through a lot of Watopia, over through the jungle and back around the volcano circuit. Nothing really crazy in terms of climbing profile here, 29.6 kilometers or 18.4 miles, 268 meters of elevation or 879 feet. Your lead-in is half of a kilometer or 3/10 of a mile, and this one will earn you 580 experience points. The next course up is Road to Sky. This is the quickest way to get to the Alpe du Zwift if you're not going to manually navigate. You can get there faster by manually navigating out of other courses, but I'd recommend just picking up this route in particular. It gives you a pretty appropriate lead-in or warm-up period of between 10 and 15 minutes, takes you through the jungle, so it gets you nice and warmed up and ready to climb. It's 17.3 kilometers or 10.7 miles, 1,045 meters of elevation or 3,428 feet. Your lead-in is 1/10 of a kilometer or less than 1/10 of a mile, and that's going to earn you 380 experience points. Again, you can see your return on experience points for effort is really not that high because we're waiting for distance here. However, if you're looking to open up those Meilensteins, or you're trying to open up, your 5,427th pair of gloves that you might unlock at the top of the Alpe du Zwift, this is a good way to get there. The next course up is Sand and Sequoias. It's a cheeky little course that shows the contrast between the arid desert as well as the lush grasslands in Watopia, 20.2 kilometers or 12.6 miles, 146 meters of elevation or 479 feet. Your lead-in is 2.4 kilometers or 1.5 miles, and this one will earn you 400 experience points. Next course is another brand new course this week. It is Serpentine 8, so it's going to take you meandering through the jungle in a figure 8 pattern. 19.2 kilometers or 11.9 miles, 199 meters of elevation or 653 feet, but your lead-in is pretty lengthy here. You're going to spawn 7.3 kilometers or 4.5 miles away from the beginning of the loop. So make sure you budget for that if you have limited amount of time to do this course. And this one's going to earn you 385 experience points. Next up is Tempest Fugit. This is the flattest course in the game. Just a little bit of a hack too if you are hunting down those experience points. This is a great course to move through the world much more quickly and rack up those mileage-based experience points. Pick up an aero bike or join a pace partner, join a group, join a race, and you will pick up mileage very quickly here. 17.3 kilometers or 10.7 miles, 16 meters of elevation or 52 feet. Your lead-in is 2.4 kilometers or 1.5 miles, and this one will earn you 380 experience points. The next course up is another epic climbing course. Not quite as difficult as Four Horsemen, but you're going to get a bigger return here. This is the Mega Pretzel. It's 107 kilometers or 66.5 miles, 1,642 meters of elevation or 5,387 feet. Your lead-in is 3.7 kilometers or 2.3 miles, and you're going to get a big chunk of points here at 2,140 experience points, and you don't have to climb the Alpe de ZWIFT. Next up is the Pretzel, just a shorter version. It's going to cut out the Mayan ruins as well as the volcano area. 72.2 kilometers or 44.9 miles, 1,333 meters of elevation or 4,373 feet, half of a kilometer of lead-in or 3/10 of a mile, and this one's a good solid 1,440 experience points. The next course is the Grand Poobah of the Watopia map, the Uber Pretzel. This one is no joke. It's going to take you through all the major climbs, KOM, epic KOM, through those Mayan ruins, up over Alpe de ZWIFT. You're going to hit the volcano climb as well. You're going to hit everything on this course. It's going to be 128.3 kilometers or 79.9 miles, 2,335 meters of elevation or 7,661 feet. Your lead-in is going to be a half of a kilometer or 3/10 of a mile, and this is a big chunk of points at 2,560 experience points. The next course up used to be the Grand Poobah of the game, and this was the most challenging course, which would take you up over KOM, up over Radio Tower, and the volcano climb. And this was before we had the expansion into the jungle and into Alpe de ZWIFT. So this is 47.8 kilometers, 29.7 miles, 879 meters of elevation or 2,884 feet, and your lead-in is a half of a kilometer, 3/10 of a mile. And it's a pretty good pull of points. It's 950 experience points. Next up is TikTok, a little bit of a variation on Tempest Fugit, a little less arid in this area. Another flat and fast course, 16.8 kilometers or 10.4 miles, 44 meters of elevation or 144 feet. Your lead-in is 2.4 kilometers or 1.5 miles, and you're going to earn 380 experience points. The next course up is the Tour of Fire and Ice. This is a great option to choose if you're planning to do the Alpe de ZWIFT anyway. Gives you a little bit longer of a lead-in, another chunk of experience points, 25.5 kilometers, 15.8 miles, 1,161 meters of elevation or 3,809 feet. Your lead-in is 2.8 kilometers or 1.7 miles, but you'll get the extra points that will round out at 500 experience points. The next course up is another brand new one this week. This is just a short, scenic, kind of gimme of a badge here. Two Bridges Loop, 7.1 kilometers or 4.4 miles, 73 meters of elevation or 240 feet, and there's no lead in here. And this is going to be a small chunk of points at 140 experience points. Next up is the Volcano Circuit. This one takes you around the flat portion, the perimeter of the volcano, 4.1 kilometers or 2.5 miles, 17 meters or 56 feet of climbing. Your lead-in is 2.8 kilometers or 1.7 miles, and this is just going to be a very small amount of points at 80 experience points. Again, we have a counterclockwise version of the route, very similar, 4.1 kilometers or 2.5 miles, 17 meters of elevation or 56 feet, and then your lead-in on this one is 4.9 kilometers or 3.0 miles. So you can see there's a little difference there. Again, 80 experience points. The next course is the Volcano Climb, another cool climb for hill repeats if you're into doing that type of thing. I know that many of you are not. 22.8 kilometers or 14.2 miles, 192 meters of elevation or 630 feet. Your lead-in is a half of a kilometer, 3/10 of a mile, and that is going to be 460 experience points. Next up is Volcano Flat, another flat volcano route, but it takes you along the perimeter of Beach Island. This is a very similar course to the new Beach Island loop, by the way. 12.3 kilometers or 7.6 miles, 46 meters of elevation or 151 feet. Your lead-in is a half of a kilometer, 3/10 of a mile, and this is 240 experience points. The next course up is Whole Lotta Lava, just a different aesthetic here. It's going to take you inside of the volcano, so a lot of red lava fun. 12.3 kilometers or 7.6 miles, 160 meters of elevation or 525 feet. You do have a longer lead in here at 4.9 kilometers or 3 miles, and that's going to be 240 experience points. So I know that that's a lot of information to take in. Hopefully it gave you some valuable information that you can use to plan and execute the efforts that you need to level up and to earn all of those valuable experience points. But if you want to know what the top 5 earning courses courses are in the game. 4 out of the 5 of those are located in Watopia, but they're as follows. And that's the PRL Full. That one is actually located in London. That is going to earn you 3,460 experience points, followed by the Uber Pretzel, which is in Watopia for 2,560 experience points. The Mega Pretzel for 2,140 experience points. 4 Horsemen at 1,780, and the Pretzel at 1,440 experience points. So hopefully this will give you a good starting point so that you can start working at those route badges. Look out for the next in the series to come. I'm going to be moving on to London next in the next couple of days. So if you're looking to attack those London courses, hopefully that video will be of some help for you guys. But at any rate, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up button, it really does help the channel and the video out quite a bit. If you're looking for some more Zwift tips, you can check out these videos right here. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.